What's up, guys? As many of you may know, recently Bald Omni-Man put out a video on the 10 movements he would use to rebuild all his muscle if he had to start over again, and it sounded like a fun video topic, so I figured I would make my own. Now, I have already made a couple videos similar to this. One of them goes over my top 10 favorite muscle building exercises, and the other one is the same thing but for calisthenics, so I will link those down below if you're interested. That said, I figured today I would approach this topic with somewhat of an athletic perspective. Now, I already know what a lot of you are thinking. Athletic is a subjective term, and a lot of guys have used it to try to sell you their workout programs. But I'm not trying to be gimmicky here. I'm just using the word athletic because you know what I mean. It sums up what I'm trying to talk about. I could also say functional or real world strength or farmer strong or whatever you like. When I think of an athletic person, I think of someone who has a good balance of strength, power, muscle, endurance, and someone who has the ability to adapt in any situation. So with all that said, let's get right into it. Starting with number 10, we have the hand-release plyometric push-up. What you'll quickly notice with this list is I put a heavy emphasis on power-based movements. Strength is the foundation for most everything, and the quickest way to become more athletic is probably to get stronger. But I've always loved explosive movements, so you'll be seeing a lot of them. I spent a lot of time doing plyometric clap push-ups and did see some great results from them. But the hand-release version takes things to the next level. Not only will these develop explosiveness, you'll be developing your starting strength as well. While explosive horizontal pushing power may have fewer total applications than some other things, I do still think this is a worthwhile trait to develop. There also aren't many pushing movements on this list, and building a bigger and stronger chest can't hurt. So here it is, number 10, the hand-release plyometric push-up. Next up, we have the Ab Wheel Rollout. I would argue that core stability is one of the main things that separates a pure bodybuilder from a strength athlete. Besides the fact that the bodybuilder is probably more jacked. And the ab wheel rollout will develop core stability like nothing else. Heavy compound movements will build you a solid midsection, but a little isolated work will go a long way. While the ab wheel may not build the six-pack like a weighted crunch could, the benefits still far outweigh pretty much any other exercise I can think of for building a strong core. The main benefit I've seen from the rollout is total body stability. This movement forces the lats, abs, and glutes to work together to complete the rep, which has huge carryover to pretty much anything. Next up, we have the snatch grip high pull. Explosive triple extension power is one of the most athletic skills you could possibly develop, and the snatch grip high pull works this directly. This is one of those movements I've come back to so many times over the years. I don't think I'd be anywhere near as explosive as I am now without it. This one also builds your upper back and traps like crazy, which can only help. A big and powerful upper back is always a strength. Remember the old saying, it's not the guys with the big chest you need to watch out for. It's those guys with a big back that are gonna win. Number 7 is gonna be the axle curl. I slept on the importance of having strong biceps for a good portion of my training career, but once I started lifting odd objects, my weakness became very apparent. Rarely, if ever, outside of the gym will you be lifting something with completely straight arms. Think about lifting a sandbag even. If the bag's heavy enough, there's no way you'll get that thing onto your lap without bending your arms and using your biceps. The biceps also play a major role in one of the most functional and athletic things you can do, picking something up and moving it. It's one thing to lift an object. Moving it is another beast entirely, and there's a good chance your biceps will be working to stabilize and hold that object in place while you're moving. If I had to start over, I'd be doing axle curls from day one. And I choose the axle specifically because a stronger grip will help you with everything. Next up is the Zercher pin squat to parallel. It was a hard choice between this one and the basic barbell back squat, but I chose the Zercher, 1, because I love doing it, and 2, because the movement pattern is more of a squat hinge hybrid. And if we're going for general athleticism, I think a hybrid approach makes more sense. The Zercher position also works your upper back like crazy, which, like I said before, is always a good thing. It's always beneficial to work through your full active range of motion if you can, but I can't think of many real-world situations where you'd need to use max force with more than a 90-degree knee bend, and the Zercher accomplishes this. I also chose the pin squat specifically because Like the hand release version of the plyometric push-up, it develops starting strength in addition to everything else, which is always useful. Alright, on to the top 5, and this next one's going to be a 2-for-1. Next on the list, I chose the neck curl and the neck extension. This begins a trend that will carry over to the next exercise as well. You're only as strong as your weakest link. It doesn't matter how strong you are or how fast you can move. If you have a weak neck, you're a glass cannon waiting to break. There's not much else I can say here. A strong neck makes you more durable, and if you're in a competition with someone else, you'll gain that intimidation factor as well, which can't hurt. Alright, moving on to number 4. If you've been a part of this channel for a while, you'll know how much I love pull-ups. I do them all the time. That said, there are only so many spots on this list, and they didn't make the cut. So I'm just giving them an honorable mention here. Shout out to all the pull-up enjoyers out there. I'd also give an honorable mention to sled pushing or pulling. It didn't make the list because I've never actually done it, but I imagine if I did, it'd be top 5 for sure. So number 4 is gonna be the feet elevated deficit pike push-up. While big and strong shoulders will always be a good thing, healthy shoulders will always be at the top of the list. And overhead pressing of any kind, done correctly, is insanely therapeutic for the shoulders. Like I said with the neck, you're only as strong as your weakest link. If your shoulders are messed up, good luck doing anything athletic. You'll never realize how big a role the shoulders play in pretty much everything until they're bothering you. So I knew I had to include an overhead press. The feet elevated deficit pike push-up just happens to be my favorite. I find the movement pattern very stable and effective. This will build strong, massive, and healthy shoulders, and that's why it takes the number 4 spot. Okay, on to number 3. Now we're getting into my true all-time favorites. Next up is the trap bar farmer's walk. There's so much to say about this one, I don't even know where to begin. I've been using this movement in one form or another for as long as I can remember. This is possibly the single best movement for developing full body rigidity and awareness. There's not much more athletic and functional than having good posture, and the farmer's walk will get you there. If you want to carry anything heavy, you must walk correctly with a proud chest and a proper gait. The farmer's walk also builds muscle everywhere with a focus on the upper back, and you know by now what I think about that. Regularly carrying heavy weight also seems to have a cascading effect. By overloading the body this way, everything else you do seems to improve faster. Muscle seems to come quicker, and nothing breaks a strength plateau like a heavy-weighted carry. Well, I suppose while I'm talking about this, I should mention the next exercise on the list. Numbers 1 and 2 are actually tied as I couldn't decide, but for the sake of clarity, number 2 is going to be the bear hug carry, specifically done with natural stones or sandbags. Adding stone and sandbag lifting into my training is the single best thing I've ever done for becoming more athletic and functional. If I could go back to the start, I'd be doing the bear hug carry at least 3 times a week every single week. It's that effective. The bear hug carry takes everything good about the farmer's walk and turns it on its head. The farmer's walk is an invaluable tool, but it's consistent. The trap bar is always exactly the same. Natural stones, on the other hand, are always different. Natural stones force you to maintain structural integrity from the most awkward positions, which makes everything else you do in the gym feel easy by comparison. The bear hug carry has added muscle, strength, and athleticism to every inch of my body. And finally, the number 1 spot on my list of exercises I'd use to get back to where I am today goes to the stone or sandbag to shoulder. In my opinion, this is the ultimate display of total body strength and power. More than anything you could do with a barbell or anything else, the stone or sandbag to shoulder is that effective. It takes all the power you've developed from everything else and channels it into one all-encompassing display of brute force. I said earlier that developing explosive triple extension power is one of the best things you can do to become more athletic. Well, the sandbag or stone to shoulder builds this in every way imaginable. Consider the snatch grip high pull from before. Yes, you're exploding at the ankles, knees, and hips to lift that bar, but as with any barbell movement, the setting is always the same. Same bar width, same knurled grip, same hand placement and contact point. Barbells are reliable. The only thing you must overcome once you've mastered technique is more weight on the bar. And don't get me wrong, this is a good thing and allows for consistent long-term progress. but this will never have the same effect a stone will. Every stone is shaped differently and forces you to explode from a slightly different position every single time, which, in my opinion, has a much greater effect on general strength and athleticism. So, with all that said, and before I go on for another hour, let me end it there. So there you have it. I may not be the strongest or most athletic guy around, but if I had to choose 10 movements to get back to where I am now, that would be it. And to continue on with what Bald Omni-Man was doing before, just as he encouraged many of his friends to make their own muscle building videos, I'd love to pass this on to a few of my friends here as well. So if you felt like making your own top 10 video, I would most certainly watch it. But if you just want to comment down below, that'd be cool too, because I'd love to hear your feedback. So all my stone lifters, I'm calling you out. Unknown Strongman, Stones of Joshua, Mark Carpenter, Crawford, NYC Park Ninja, and Jeff Rourke. I really wonder if our list would be kind of similar, seeing as we're all stone lifters. I'd also love to hear from the one and only Shredded Bra, Monkey Bars Every Day, and Steve Calamars as well, as you have a very unique training style, and I'd love to see what you have to say. So I hope you guys liked the video, and until next time, thanks for watching.